Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to, cut through all the noise and find those really interesting insights for you. And today, we're looking at something you might have seen popping up online, maybe, or in those wellness shops.
Yeah.
An exfoliating net sponge. Sounds pretty simple, I know, just a shower thing. But trust me, there's way more to it. We're going to unpack this fascinating story where culture, business, and, well, what we value as consumers all sort of collide. We'll look at where it comes from, does it actually work, and how it ended up on the global market. You might actually rethink your shower routine after this.
Yeah, exactly. That's really the mission today for this deep dive. We're looking past the surface appeal, how this traditional centuries-old tool is being powerfully rebranded, really, for the modern wellness scene. We'll look at the claims. Is it revolutionary? Is it hype? And we'll get into the ethics, the sourcing, the economics, what it means for you. Our sources give a really balanced view, I think. Both the benefits, which are pretty undeniable, and this, well, complex pricing situation in the West. It's definitely more than just a sponge. It tells a story about, our world right now.
Okay, let's dive right into that story then. Because if you've been scrolling, say, Instagram or TikTok lately, or maybe browsing online shops, you've probably seen these exfoliating net sponges. They're kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
Often, presented by influencers really enthusiastically as this brand new revolutionary skincare thing. They talk about unlocking secrets to amazing skin, transforming your bath time. It's really caught on, positioned as the next big self-care essential.
And what's so fascinating, maybe a bit ironic too, is the context that often gets totally missed in all that modern hype. These are absolutely not new discoveries, not even close. They are, in fact, traditional West African bathing tools. They've been part of daily life, cultural practices for, well, generations. It's almost funny, right? You have influencers talking about a new secret, but your grandmother from Lagos or Accra, she's probably been using one for ages. So what we're seeing is companies, sometimes individuals too, acting like they've stumbled upon some, ancient wisdom, when actually these very effective cleansing methods are centuries old, part of everyday hygiene across West Africa.
That's a really powerful point about cultural knowledge. But there's also this tricky balance in how they're marketed now. Our sources mention authenticity marketing.
Yeah.
And, some aspects do seem positive. Like some companies really make a point of emphasizing ethical sourcing from Nigeria or promoting fair trade partnerships. That's part of their pitch.
Yeah.
And there's often a focus on cultural heritage preservation, trying not just to take the idea, but to celebrate and support the tradition. And when you see that, those efforts to support the communities and value the heritage, well, it does feel genuinely admirable. Better than just appropriation.
It's definitely a complex area, but yes, acknowledging those genuine efforts is important. It suggests some brands are trying to approach it respectfully, recognizing the cultural value, not just the product. The sources do point out it's about the story, the people, not just the object itself.
Okay, so we've talked history, culture, marketing, but let's get down to brass tacks. Does this thing actually work? Beyond the nice story and the branding, is it actually a better way to wash? Or is it just really clever hype? I mean, at the end of the day, we all want something practical, something that delivers results in our routine, don't we?
Absolutely. And here's the reality check, straight from what we've looked at. They work. They work incredibly well. The traditional knowledge behind the design is not just, folklore. It seems scientifically sound. The sources are specific. They talk about these looped nylon fibers. Simple sounding maybe, but they give superior exfoliation. Really much better than most Western washcloths or those plastic poofs people use. A washcloth can just move dirt around. A loofah might be too harsh or get kind of gross. This net sponge texture, it seems to hit that sweet spot, effectively removes dead skin, but gently.
That texture difference sounds key.
It really is. And it's not just the material. The design itself is, well, smart. One thing that comes up again and again in reviews is the length, often like 45 inches, which genuinely reaches everywhere. I mean, think about trying to scrub your whole back with a normal cloth. It's awkward. This design solves that, makes for a really thorough clean. Users consistently say, smoother skin, much better soap lathering. The net really foams things up and just feeling cleaner, improved hygiene. So performance-wise, yeah, no question, it delivers.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me then.
Yeah.
It's clearly more than just a better scrubbing tool. It's about what it introduces us to. It feels like there's a bigger lesson here, maybe a kind of global self-care insight packed into this simple thing.
Well, it definitely raises an important question, doesn't it? Why is this specific traditional tool catching on so much now? It seems
Hmm.
to be because these products are introducing people, especially in the West, to really effective skincare practices from other cultures that maybe got overlooked. What a lot of users are finding, and our sources really highlight this, is that some Western beauty routines, with all the steps and expensive stuff, they might actually miss some basic foundational cleansing techniques, things other cultures figured out generations ago. We focus so much on what happens after washing. Maybe we forgot about the washing part itself. So, yeah, beyond just smoother skin, that cross-cultural learning, that has real value. It broadens our idea of what good self-care looks like, makes us look beyond our own bubble.
That's such a great point. Sometimes the best ideas are already out there, just somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, but despite how well it works, despite the cultural value, we have to talk about the price because this is where things get, let's say, complicated for a lot of people. We know it works, but you look at the cost here versus where it comes from.
Hmm.
It really makes you question the value proposition. So the
Absolutely.
numbers are, well, pretty striking.
Yeah, if you connect the dots, what you're seeing is this kind of tense meeting point between cultural appreciation and, well, profit maximization.
Hmm.
The paradox is really stark. Our sources lay out these big price gaps. You might find authentic versions from diaspora-owned businesses,
Yeah.
businesses run by folks from West African communities abroad, costing maybe $15 to $25. Then you see the generic lookalikes, mass-produced ones on Amazon or whatever, for maybe $5 to $10.
Wow.
But get this. The sources say if you go to a traditional market in West Africa, these same durable, effective sponges, they sell for under $3, sometimes like $1 or 2.
Wow. Okay, that is a massive difference. So what's justifying that markup? What are we paying for?
Well, according to the sources, it's several things layered together. Obviously, there's international shipping, logistics, standard costs, then branding, marketing, the costs of selling in a Western retail space. That all adds up. But a big part of that premium price tag is often tied to this idea of cultural authenticity certification and ethical sourcing documentation.
Yeah.
So the companies are saying, look, we've verified these are from West Africa, we're paying artisans fairly, our supply chain is ethical, and those efforts, which are often genuinely important for preserving culture and supporting people, they naturally add cost. It's not just the nylon anymore.
And this brings us right to another kind of tricky area the sources mention,
Hmm.
the whole fake versus authentic thing. Apparently, it's such a big issue now that the legit sellers have to warn people about knockoff African sponges flooding the market. It's gotten so wild, there are actually authentication guides for nylon mesh out there telling you how to spot a real one. I mean, just think about that for a second. You need an expert guide to buy a shower sponge. It says a lot about the global market, doesn't it?
It really does. It shows how complex even simple things get when they travel across cultures and borders. One source even said something like, we've reached peak capitalism when bathing tools require counterfeit detection expertise. It just highlights this bizarre situation where a traditional item needs, like, IP protection now, and consumers notice this complexity too. You look at reviews, people consistently say, yeah, it works great, that's not usually the issue. But almost everyone questions the price. People know they're paying import markups for basic nylon mesh, and while they might appreciate the cultural context, that added value, the feedback suggests it's not $20 value for most budgets. There's this clear gap between the material cost and the market price that people see and, frankly, struggle with.
Yeah, that makes total sense. It's a tough calculation for many. So moving beyond just washing and the economics, do these sponges have other upsides? What about sustainability? Is there an environmental angle here too, especially maybe compared to the plastic poofs most people use?
Yes. And what's fascinating is how impressive the sustainability angle actually is, according to our sources. It's often overlooked. These things aren't just effective, they're pretty eco-conscious in a few key ways. First off, durability. They last. Unlike those plastic poofs that just fall apart after a month, or even natural loofahs that can break down, these sponges last months with proper care, sometimes even longer. So you're just replacing them way less often. Less waste right there.
That's already a big plus, thinking about all the bathroom plastic waste.
Exactly. And it's not just how long they last. The material, that nylon, is key. The quick-drying nylon prevents bacterial growth, which, okay, great for hygiene, obviously, but it also means the sponge stays usable longer, cleaner, fresher. Again, less need to replace it, no more kind of damp, mildewy washcloths hanging around. And then there's the bigger picture. Many authentic ones come from artisan cooperatives. These often use minimal packaging, maybe sourced locally, and might have more direct, less carbon-heavy shipping routes compared to mass factory production. It all helps to reduce environmental impact. It feels like a more thoughtful product cycle.
It really does paint a full picture, doesn't it? From traditional roots in West Africa to being sort of rediscovered by wellness trends, then becoming this global commodity. The whole journey tells us so much, shows how powerful traditional knowledge can be, how relevant it still is. But it also really shines a light on just how complicated things get when something travels from its origin to the global market. It forces you to think about more than just the item itself, changes how you might look at your own buying choices. So what does all this boil down to for you listening right now as you make your own choices? Well, we've just explored an excellent traditional skincare tech, something that really works, delivers those practical benefits, smoother skin, better clean, but it also offers this cool chance for cross-cultural learning, connecting you with effective practices from elsewhere. Plus, it has these impressive sustainability points going for it. A conscious choice, potentially. But, and it's a big but, all that comes wrapped up in this really complex pricing situation. It forces these big questions about value, cost, ethics in global trade.
Yeah, to sum it up, the product works, no doubt. Its effectiveness is clear. And those efforts around cultural preservation, supporting artisans, fair trade, they definitely matter. They add real value beyond just the nylon. However, it's also impossible to ignore that the cost markup in Western markets is, well, substantial. It just is. So, our takeaway, really echoing the sources, is maybe to support authentic sellers if your budget allows. If that aligns with your values about ethical sourcing and cultural respect, it's ultimately a choice about what kind of value matters most to you.
Exactly. So maybe next time you're shopping for personal care stuff online or in a store, just take a second. Ask yourself, where does the real value lie for me? Is it purely in how well the product works, its function? Is it in the story, the cultural heritage, the generations of knowledge behind it? Maybe it's the ethical journey, knowing the maker was treated fairly. Or is it mainly, maybe only, about the price tag, finding the cheapest option? Worth thinking about, because in this world where, ancient traditional knowledge bumps up against premium Western pricing, your everyday choices really do say something about what you value. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.